Okay, welcome to part 3 of the XR2 Rescue Mission video series that I'm putting together. In the last video, I completed the rendezvous and docking, and we got the other XR2 fueled up. Well, I shouldn't say fueled up, but we got a little bit of fuel transferred to the other XR2. We'll jump into that one.
System reset.
So we have enough fuel now that we can deorbit. So let's go ahead and get started and see if we can get this vessel back down safely on the ground. Go ahead and turn off external cooling,
Using onboard O2.
which means we're now running the clock again on our own oxygen supply. Go ahead and undock.
Undocking confirmed.
Undocking confirmed.
I'm going to bring up base sync just to get an idea of how far off I am from wide awake. Turn on the APU and close the nose cone. Okay, so we are 2,200 kilometers off base, distance-wise. That's okay. We obviously get a lot of cross range in these winged vessels, so that's not going to be a problem. And it looks like we are already halfway around or close to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the deorbit now. I'm going to bring the altitude just down to like, 30 or 40 kilometers. Periapsis, I mean. Let me make sure I'm not going to run in to the other vessel here. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Yeah, it's not going to be a problem. It's going to go by. So we'll bring the periapsis down to, 30, 40 kilometers, something like that. Add in a little more main engine to speed that up.
Rotation translation.
And that should be fine right there. Okay. I'm just going to warp time ahead so we can get down to the point where we can start gliding over toward the base. About 120 kilometers is entry interface. So we'll go with that. And go to the prograde position just so we're facing the right direction. Go and turn the APU on and set the elevator trim to the maximum, because basically what we're going to do here,
Information. APU fuel 80%.
we need to do sort of the equivalent to what we did in the first video in the atmospheric surfing over to the other XR2. We essentially need to do the same thing here to get lined up with the base. So I can actually just set the AOA to 15 degrees.
Information. APU running.
Trying to get a 90-degree bank.
Mach 27 plus.
That's odd. Jumps from 60 to 120. Okay, well, never mind then. Just do it manually. So I've got the elevator trim set all the way into the, up position. Added in a little bit of center of gravity shift, so I can get the AOA to about 15 degrees.
Rotation.
And I'm just going to kill rotate to try to get the vessel to stop oscillating. And once the altitude gets down to, 75 kilometers or thereabout, then we'll start getting some significant change in the distance off base. Not a lot I can do yet in terms of time acceleration. I'll bring up an external MFD so I can watch the surface MFD. As I get close to the lower point, I might want to start rotating a little bit to prevent the vessel from, getting too steep of a descent into the atmosphere before I'm ready.
Mach 26.
And I probably should close the radiator. Just rotating to the right a little bit to maybe bring the vertical speed up a little bit.
Mach 25.
You can see the distance off the base is rapidly counting down, so we're making a lot of progress that way. And let me rotate left a little bit because I don't want to climb. Radiator 16.
Mach 24.
I think we're actually cool enough that I could have the radiator still extended, but with the coolant temperature being where it's at, I don't necessarily need it extended. Our off-base distance is getting really close, so we're almost lined up with the base. As this gets closer to 0, I'll recenter the center of gravity and bring the elevator trim back to the 0 position, and then we'll plan our landing. You can see our orbit line getting closer to wide awake.
Mach 23.
Distance is coming down very rapidly, so let me turn the APU on, center the center of gravity, and set the elevator trim to 0. And start rolling out. I'm gonna roll this way for a moment. And now bring up aero brake and see what we need to do here. Looks like our angle of attack is going to be a little too steep, so let's bring it down a bit.
Mach 22.
And you can see that green line extending over to the base. Put in just a little bit of left bank, because I like to come in on the north side of Wide Awake, just due to the way the runway is lined up. Okay, now we just ride it out till we get down. I don't need base sync anymore, so I'm going to bring map MFD up on this side so we can kind of keep an eye on our progress. Still got 3,000 kilometers to go.
Mach 21.
I'm going to set my bank back to 0 now. Looks like we're pretty well on target right there. It's a little over, but that's okay. I can increase the angle of attack here in a little bit.
Mach 20.
Looks like there's a missing texture there or something. $2,700 kilometers to go.
Mach 19.
Let's see how we're doing on locks. Still got 2 hours and 15 minutes, plenty. Because we'll be down in just a few more minutes. I should grab my joystick now, so I'm not scrambling for it.
Mach 18.
I'm not used to these slow reentries. I usually kind of cram the XR2 into the atmosphere and get it down really fast. So heat is not going to be a problem this time.
Mach 17. Information. APU fuel 70%.
1,800 kilometers to go.
Mach 16.
All this is just completely automated in a sense. It's we're just gliding basically. The only thing we have to watch during this long glide process is just to make sure that our angle of attack
Mach 15.
is at a good number so that we're gonna run out of energy by the time we get over to the base. If our angle of attack is too low, then we'll go past the base and we'll still be at, 2,000-3,000 meters per second. So it'll be really hard to turn around and get back. We don't want that. And we don't want too steep of an angle of attack because then we'll come up short and we would have to burn fuel to get over to the island, and we don't want that. So we just want to
Mach 14.
come up right at the island, but aerobrake MFD makes that really easy, so it's just a matter of gliding to get over there. And gliding's not real exciting, so that's why I typically do very short deorbit reentries just to get the thing down fast. But I don't have the fuel for that this time around.
Mach 13.
1,000 meters to go. Kilometers rather. Yeah, kilometers. So I'm gonna bring up glide slope now. And I'm actually using glide slope 2. Fairly new release. Still getting used to how it works. So I want this view, then I gotta go CFG, then next base. Okay, now I want next runway, and I want runway 12. There's 12L, which is left, 12R, which is right. And I think there's also, yeah, RR. I'm not sure which one, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go with 12L.
Mach 11.
And then say OK. And we are 750 kilometers out still. Looks like I might want to drop my angle of attack a little bit.
Mach 10.
Go ahead and open the radiator for a while. .500 kilometers to go.
Mach 9.
Looks like we're crossing the day-night terminator. About 400 kilometers to go. I think when you get to 300 kilometers, you can start to see the island off in the distance. In fact, I think that's it right there. Yeah. It'll get more definition as we get closer, but that's the island.
Mach 7.
I'm gonna add a little left bank because I like to come in a little to the north.
Mach 6.
We're getting there. Switch over to surface HUD. And put in a little more left bank. Make sure I've got plenty of room to turn in, because I don't want to do a upwind, downwind, cross leg. I don't want to do any of that.
Mach 4. Pitch. On. Off.
Switching over to surface controls. And I'll be taking over manual control here in just a moment. Go ahead and zero out the bank.
Mach 3.
Disengaging, setting elevator trim to 0. And now we're going to land. First thing I like to do is pitch over so I can see where I'm going.
Warning, radiator deployed.
I suppose I should bring that back in now.
Warning, radiator deployed. Warning, radiator deployed. Warning, radiator deployed.
And now I'm going to bank over toward the runway.
Mach 2. Information. APU fuel 60%.
And I feel like I'm coming in a bit fast, so I'm going to put out the air brake.
Subsonic.
Slow things down. Bring the radiator back in. Right now I'm aiming to the right of the runway because I can tell that I'm still off to the left.
3,000.
I feel fast. Put out the air brake again.
2,000.
And I'm going to start banking to the left because I can feel myself getting more lined up.
You are cleared to land.
Bring the air brake back in.
1,000. 900. 800. 700. 600. Gear 500. 400. 300. Gear down and locked. 200. 100. 75. 50. 40. 30. 20. 15. 10. 7. 4. 1. Wheels down.
down.
100 knots.
And I'll check that touchdown speed here in just a second. Don't really need the wheel brakes, but use them anyway just to slow ourselves down to a stop.
Wheel stop.
Alright, there's wheel stop. 3 hours, 54 minutes mission time. And our touchdown speed was little over 2 meters a second. That's well within the guidelines of this vessel. Turn on external cooling.
External O2. External cooling online.
Turn off the APU. Yeah, on a full load, the touchdown speed is 2.8 meters, and we were below that. And on a typical load, we could have had a touchdown speed of 4.2 meters, and we are not even a typical load. We are very lightly loaded. We have almost no fuel at all. Okay, so that is the XR2 that was stranded in orbit. We rescued it and got it safely back down to Wide Awake. Just seeing if there's anything else I want to show. We had 5 hours and 43 minutes of liquid oxygen remaining at the start of the mission, and we still have an hour and 58 minutes, almost 2 hours left. And let's see, we transferred, I have to go back and look at the video to see how much fuel we transferred over, but looks like it was obviously more than enough, but not excessive. I mean, we've only got 0.4% in the main and 5.1% RCS. I think I transferred 10% to RCS, so we used about half of what was transferred. At any rate, that's going to wrap up this part of the video. I do want to do one more where I'm going to go back to the other XR2 that's still in orbit. Actually, let me save this, Control S, and let me see if I can select that other vessel without crashing orbiter. Nope, can't. Alright. So, in the next video, I will pick back up with that other XR2, the one that's still in orbit, and we'll get it back over to the International Space Station if possible. And if for any reason I have any problems getting it back over to the ISS, then I'll just land it. And that will conclude the series. So if you have any questions about this part of the video, go ahead and leave those questions down below, and I will see you next time.